So shall we start? We are on page
17. Whether to bear the ignorance and death from the other.
This is the purpose of her coming. For this she had accepted mortal breath. To wrestle with the shadow she had come, and must confront the riddle of man's birth and life's brief struggle in dumb matter's night. That is the riddle. Just to die, that we have to come down on earth? Or is there a reason other than that? This is the reason why she herself has put on the human embodiment. So for this she had accepted mortal breath. This is the reason of the mother's coming also. To put on a human embodiment in order to go through the human difficulties, which is at the same time something that seems inevitably to fail. We have this life given to us just so that it can end. It is to fight this. And why shadow? Why is this shadow? It is not life eternal, it is shadow. Shadow has no substance. Shadow has no fundamental reality. But it is darkness. And this is ignorance. This darkness, this ignorance is what drags us down. And it is the death of ignorance that will bring about the death of death. As long as we are trapped in the field of darkness and ignorance and error and limitation and all that follows from that original downfall, because we are separated from the origin. It is because we are separated from the origin. We are divided. And we therefore seem to be undivine, weak, and liable therefore to all that is really an expression of error and pain and all the rest. We have no, not only awareness, but not even a recollection that we are originally born from the same divine. We are expressions of the divine. We are not aware of that. It is this unawareness that is the shadow. This ignorance, this sense of division, this sense of separation. So go back. She has come to take us back, to reunite us with that original principle. That is the purpose of the whole poem. But it's a very difficult thing because this darkness has ruled existence from the beginning of time. Time is a field of limitation. However big it may seem to be a field, it is still a field of limitation. There is always a beginning, there is always an end. We are not aware that we are children of eternity. We are children of time. So for this, she, the eternal, has come down into time just so that children of time may slowly become part of their original eternity. It is a kind of a very slow, long battle, because to break out of a simple habit is not easy. To break out of so-called habit that has lasted for millions of years is that much more difficult. We accept our mortality, we accept our humanity. The whole purpose of the mother's coming of the poem Savitri is just that. It is a clash with death. And not to accept death as final. Whether to bear with ignorance and death. Where there is ignorance, there is death. Whether to accept this as final, as inevitable, or hew the ways of immortality. Because on earth, there is not yet the expression of immortality. To hew a road out of hard, resistant rock is not easy. Once the road is made, others may follow. And this is exactly the description Mother gave in one of her talks, I remember in the class long ago. This is the role of the avatar. The avatar has to hew a road where there is none, to cut through hard, resistant rock. This rock of ignorance, inertia, opposition, resistance. There is so much that is our relationship with the original inconscience. And yet this original inconscience is the starting point of all change. So can inconscience become the starting point of a manifestation of a greater consciousness? That is the problem. It's a gamble, he has already said. So whether to bear with ignorance and death, which we do. We accept death because we are not aware of any alternative. We don't know. We don't know anything. We think we know much, but basically we are not aware of anything, the root cause of anything. Because at the root of our nature there is ignorance. So how can we move into the light? We are made of the stuff of ignorance as well. The lower nature is that. It has never been changed, it has never been transformed. In us there may be a principle of light, which is, yes, the divine principle, the soul, and that is something that we have sometimes turned to, and some have identified their existence with the soul consciousness, with the spiritual consciousness, and distanced themselves from the world of matter and life and mind, considering them as expressions of limitation, inevitable error, inevitable failure. Even in the principle of mind, where there is the beginnings of light, there is darkness. Therefore, this has been the yogic practice always. Give up the external world of body, life, mind, move out of that and enter into the play of as much as you can into the field of that inner light, that inner presence which is eternal, which is divine. That means man will forever remain a dual being. He has an external nature and an inner being. The external nature will always remain something that one has to throw away, cast away, and live in the consciousness of the spirit. And why were we given this outer nature? Why were we given a body, a life, a mind? Where did it come from? It came out of the world of the original inconscient out of which we have evolved. But if there is evolution, if there is a growth that starts from below upwards, the power to change is hidden in that original unconscious. So all possibilities of change and manifestation are there. But can we take up this challenge? We are not even aware. That is why she is a warrior. She is not just a being of love and light, but she is also a fighter. This is the role. She is a daughter of a king, the Kshatriya. It is a symbol. She has come to fight. This core of the poem is a battle between love and death. She has come down out of love for man, for earth. She did not need to come, but she has. So whether to bear with ignorance and death, or hew the ways of immortality, to win or lose the godlike game of man. To win or lose the godlike game for man was her soul's issue, thrown with destiny's dice. To win this game for man not for herself. She doesn't need anything for herself. This is the sacrifice. This is the Holocaust of the Divine Mother, which Sri Aurobindo speaks of in the book, The Mother. Sometimes it is said in the Upanishads that this is the sacrifice of Purusha. But he says, but much more is it, the sacrifice of Prakriti, the Holocaust of the Divine Mother, who has accepted to come down into the lowest of the low, share in that, as if she has lost herself. Like in a Holocaust, you're just thrown into the fire. She accepts to enter into the darkness, into the very heart and difficulties of the ignorance, and slowly make her way from below upwards. This is the nature of the evolutionary process. What is the evolution? What is the force that evolves? It evolves from below upwards. In order to evolve from below upwards, there has to be an involution, which has to precede the evolution. There has to be a descent that comes down from above, enters and plunges into the darkness, and slowly makes its way upwards and gradually removing the darkness, wiping off resistance, and each step of the way there is opposition. So whoever comes to make us change meets with opposition from the very beings that she has come to help. We resist, we fight back, we don't want to change. Therefore, this is the gamble thrown with destiny's dice. Because there is the game of dice, the outcome is not known from before. This has been going on for thousands of years. Avatar after avatar have come. They have fought. They seem to have lost. They've shown a little, brought a little more clarity, a little more consciousness. And then they had to withdraw. The earth rejected them. Always it is that. But she is not that. She is not going to give up, but not to submit and suffer was she born. So the absoluteness of strength. So it's in different aspects of the force. She's come out of love. She knows why she has come, so there is light, and there is strength, indomitable strength. She has not come to just accept what cannot be changed as final. What we say is final, it cannot be changed. It is this that she wants to change. This repeatedly Mother has spoken of also. To believe that something cannot be changed, it is this that we have to change. This belief has to go. What cannot be done is the one that has to be attempted. Not to repeat the same patterns that have been in slight improved models, to repeat the past ways and methods, but to break new ground, to do that which has never been done and which you may believe cannot be done. It is that for which she has come. But not to submit and suffer was she born. To lead, to deliver was her glorious part. To deliver us from bondage, from darkness, from slavery, from our acceptance of failure. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make. So obviously she has to be exceptional. So he's making it very clear who she is. She is not earth-born. She has come down from above. If we have a being who is earth-born, that being will always have the coverings of nescience of the lower nature that will always be there, which we all have it. We may work on our natures, we may work on ourselves, try to remove as much as possible the veils of darkness and error and ignorance. It's a very long effort which has to keep on repeating, perhaps at every moment. This is the tapasya of the earth, the tapasya of the beings who are born of the earth. But one who has come down from above is not part of the evolutionary process. So this is the mother power. Savitri is not born of the earth. She's born from beyond. She's come down into the earth and accepted to wear the cloak of humanity. But she is not human. But she's at the same time, once she has accepted to wear the cloak of humanity, she has accepted all that humanity stands for. So she has gone through, she has put on all the weaknesses, all the defects, because how can she solve a problem without living the problem, without facing the problem? But she's done it knowingly, purposely. This is always the nature of the one who descends from above. There is another who ascends from below. This is man. The ascension is slow. But because the descent is there, it can perhaps speed up the process if we open to the light that comes from above. So it's the interplay, it is the meeting between these two, which is really, if you look at the symbol of Sri Aurobindo, it is the very purpose of existence, the manifestation of consciousness that is rising up from below with the force that is coming down from above. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make, fit for a day's use by busy, careless powers. The fabric of terrestrial make is us, our beings. Just like fabric, after you wear it for a while, your clothes, and then they tear and you have to throw them away. So our natures have to be cast away. You can't just repeat the same thing and keep on holding on to the old forever and forever. It's just for a day, it's just for a while. By busy, careless powers will tear down our fabric. So our body weighs down, our mind weakens, our life gets exhausted, everything seems to slowly fail us. Because all these forces are there, they like to erode, they like to corrode our natures. Whether in your mind or in your body or in your life, everything is subjected to the forces of destruction. Because it is an expression of the original unconscious. So we have an existence that is given for a day. Busy, careless powers. Image after image to show the helplessness of our human nature. An image fluttering on the screen of fate. Because fate seems to be that which controls us. Fate is the final outcome. If I am weak, my ultimate outcome is that I will have to fall. So it's like not even one who is in control of his life. I am a puppet, I am an image. I am just something that helplessly is trying to move by myself, but I can't. Fate controls me. The nature of my existence is really defined by the ultimate end. If there is error, there will be pain. Like you cannot say, I will do whatever I like, but I don't want to suffer. I don't want to die, but I'll carry on as I am for as long as I can. Man sometimes thinks he can do that, but it's really like an image that is fluttering. It thinks it is moving on its own, it can't. The backdrop is this force that controls and breaks ultimately the fall, the end, the breakdown that is actually, that is already decided when we start. The end always precedes the beginning. It's because we are the way we are that we have to end the way we end. It's not that the end follows the beginning, it's the end precedes the beginning. If our origin is darkness, there has to be failure. We think we are free individuals. There is no free will as long as we are ignorant. This is the basic problem of man, fate or free will. The free will exists in our mind, we think. We are free only when we are free from ignorance, free from unconsciousness. Then there is freedom of choice. Otherwise, what we call freedom of choice is just a kind of a temporary mental satisfaction. I choose this and not that. I believe this and I don't believe that. It's like an image that is floating in the wind, fluttering in the wind. It doesn't fundamentally change my nature. Sri Aurobindo has written 3 very interesting essays on fate and free will, freedom and determinism. Because freedom is something man really basically wants. He believes in freedom, he wants freedom, but he doesn't know how to get it. He cannot be free until he is free from ego and ignorance. Then only he is free. When he is one with the origin, then he is free. Then nothing can make him fall. Until then, he has to accept that there is an end that is already decided. Because he is the way he is. So, this is the picture of human nature, an image fluttering on the screen of fate, half animated for a passing show. This is our life. Passing show. It's just like a play. Half animated, not even fully alive. Half of us is really inertia, more than half. It's such a short play. This is the image of man. This is not Savitri. Or a castaway on the ocean of desire, flung to the eddies of a ruthless sport and tossed along the gulfs of circumstance. The same sense of being at the mercy of all kinds of other forces. A castaway is one who has, he's jumped ship when the ship is in a storm and he is now in the middle of the ocean and he is trying to stay afloat by perhaps holding on to a plank or a mast or something. He doesn't drown, but can he guide his life? Can he move in the direction even of that which will take him to his ultimate safety? We can't. What is the storm? What is the water, the vital nature? And that is ruled by desire. And as long as we are slaves of desire, we are at the mercy of all kinds of different expressions. We cannot have it both ways. We want to be happy, we want to be free, we want to be immortal, and yet we want things to be the way we choose, the way we like. This is not possible. This cannot be. We are tossed along like a castaway, like a sailor, because he has used this image. It's a very ancient Indian image. Man is traveling, he's a sailor on the ship. His being is his boat. He's traveling on the waters of time. But does he know where he is moving? Is he really the pilot of his boat? Or is he at the mercy of all kinds of different winds and waves and passions and desires? In gulfs of circumstances, sometimes there are eddies, whirlpools, circumstances. You may want something, but you're at the mercy of the outer nature, the outer world, which you can't control. Another image now. A creature born to bend beneath the yoke, a chattel and a plaything of time's lords, or one more pawn who comes destined to be pushed in this one slow move forward on a measureless board in the chess play of the earth's soul with doom. Such is the human figure drawn by time. It's a long sentence with different aspects of subjection, of slavery, of bondage. Each one different, but all describing the same helplessness, the same subjection to forces other than ourselves. A creature, man, born to bend beneath the yoke, the pressure of other forces, like a bullock. You put a yoke on the bullock, and the bullock is no longer a free animal. He's a slave. Man is also a slave. Is man a slave? Is man free? That's another short essay by Sri Aurobindo. Man, slave or free? Man hopes to be free, likes to be free, but man is a slave. Slave to himself, slave to egos, slave to all the forces that play around with him, push him down, sometimes raise him up, and then he thinks he has really risen higher, so that he can be thrown down again. So this is the image.
That's man's slave of what?
That's the title of the book. Man, slave or free?
Slave or free?
That's the question Sri Aurobindo has written. He's written quite a few short essays like that. Man, slave or free? Free fate and free will. So these are two aspects, because man wants to be free. Man, how can you want something you don't know at all?
It's given the illusion of free will.
No, but how can you want something you don't know at all? That means somewhere you can be free. Somewhere you know what is freedom. Some part in you knows. That's why you yearn for it. And yet you don't want to really make the right take the necessary steps to achieve that freedom. That's the whole problem. We have to remove our weaknesses, our darknesses, our ego, our ignorance. Otherwise, why should we want freedom? Freedom is an expression of divinity. God, light, freedom, immortality that he speaks of in the Life Divine, they are all synonyms. It says the same thing in different ways. You cannot be free as long as you are bound by any condition. To be independent. We like to be independent. That means we have no dependence on anything. We are in charge of ourselves. Only the Supreme can say that of himself. We are not independent. We are dependent. And we will stay dependent until we have united ourselves with the Supreme. But something in us wants this freedom. It's a very ancient longing. That means somewhere that principle of divinity is there, in spite of all our weakness. And this is why man is torn apart. If you accept your weakness, you don't suffer. You say, yes, I'm this way. But something in us wants not to be like that. Just wanting doesn't suffice. But how can I ask for something I don't know at all? I asked for freedom because something in me is free, knows what is freedom. But my surface being, my body, life, mind, none of these are free. And I relate only with my surface being. I identify only with this surface nature. The inner being is denied, pushed back, it remains unknown, and it will not come forward unless it is wanted. So, this is the dilemma that man has. On which side is he? Is he a child of light? Is he a child of darkness? We have two mothers. This is what the Upanishads say. We are children of darkness. We are children of light. And this is why we suffer more than any other being. Other beings don't have this problem. The gods don't change. They are emanations of light. The asuras don't change. They are emanations of darkness, which is a principle, a universal principle. Man is in between. And he doesn't know exactly what he is and what he wants. So this sense of weakness and slavery and subjection is very strong in man. So we are chattels. Chattel is a term that was used especially in the ancient Greek culture, originally in the West. It implied movable property. So it is said that Greece is the mother of democracy and the free choice, but how many were free individuals, even politically, in ancient Greece? Not women, not old men, not children, only those who belong to a certain age. So youngsters, boys, women never, old people never. But that takes away 2/3 of, or more than 2/3 of the population. Plus, they were put in the same category as movable property, like money is mine, cattle is mine. When I go from one place to another, I can take my cows with me, I can take my wives with me, I can take my children with me. They have no voice. They have no right to say, no, I don't want to go. They are part of your movable property. You cannot take your house with you. That is immovable property. But the rest you can, if you want to. So these were they had no say in the matter of the choice of their lives, their destinies. Man is just that. Who's the master, the ruler? Time's lords, the forces. You cannot say, I don't want to grow old, I don't want to die. You may say it, it doesn't happen. It doesn't work. Unless we root out the original cause why we are the way we are. We can say what we like, we're still slaves. So another image, all of these are really beings who have no say in their own futures, in their own destinies, like a pawn in a chessboard. There are pawns. A pawn may say, I don't want to move on that square, I want to go in that direction. A pawn has no voice. It is subjected to the hand that moves the pawn. The hand decides where the pawn will go. The pawn has to. Man is just that. One more pawn who comes, destined to be pushed one slow move forward on a measureless board in the chess play of the earth soul with doom. This is the game. The spirit that is born on earth finally goes back to the earth from which it is born, again and again. So this is the fate of man, has been the fate of man. Such is the human figure drawn by time. So image after image, simile after simile he gives to describe the helplessness of man Though in the pride of his ego, he may say, I don't want to be this, I want to be like that. He may say whatever he wants. But he is subjected to the conditions, the circumstances, not only around him, but within him. He is made that way. Now, the next line is very short compared to the long sentence that preceded it. A conscious frame was here, a self-born force. Instead, Savitri consciously has put on her embodiment by choice. She is not dependent on the play of external forces. Self-born. One of the expressions of the divine manifestation is self-born, Swajata. Man is not self-born in his outer nature. Not only is he born of his parents, but he is born of all that preceded him, all the conditions that make earth life possible. We are subjected to so many conditions. She is not. So it's one short, compact sentence, so powerful and such an absolute opposite of what was the description of the average human being. A conscious frame was here, a self-born force. In this enigma of the dusk of God, this slow and strange, uneasy compromise of limiting nature with a limitless soul, where all must move between an ordered chance and an uncaring blind necessity, too high the fire spiritual dare not blaze. This is the situation that man finds himself in. The dusk of God. What is this dusk of God? This world of universal ignorance. It's a universal power. How can something that is universal not have its origin in the Supreme? So it is as if the divine unconsciousness or inconscience is the starting point of all existence, of all creation. It's almighty, it's all powerful, it influences everything and everyone. And yet it seems so undivine. So it's an enigma, it's a riddle. The divine who has put on the aspect of total undivinity, if you can say so. And it's a difficult compromise. A compromise is a state which tries to balance different opposites. It's not a very satisfactory state at all. It is always uneasy. What is the compromise? Nature and soul. Nature is the manifestation of the play of forces in matter, in life, in mind. They follow the laws of a kind of an energy that moves apparently unconsciously. All is energy, matter is energy, nature is energy, but there seems to be no guidance, there seems to be no power that takes the play of this energy forward. It follows its own way. It is the lower Prakriti, it is called the Apara Prakriti. And though it is flawless in its working, it never makes mistakes. It doesn't seem to obey any guidance of any other power. So it's always uneasy because we are part of this play of the lower unconscious nature in our matter, life, and mind. Matter is our body. We also have at the same time, sometimes we perceive it quite clearly, the presence of a soul. There is a light. There is a divine presence. We can relate with it. Now, how does one combine the two? We are at the same time divine and undivine. The undivine is present as the divine. It's very uneasy to live with two enemies at the same time and accepting their demands. So one has to be pushed back. For a long time the soul stays in the background, is pushed back. And the outer nature rules. But the soul is there. Without the soul there can be no existence. That presence which has created the universe, if that presence leaves, then the body and everything creation fails. The soul departs, there is no existence. And yet I am not aware of its presence. Because I choose to turn my gaze outwards, I don't turn my gaze inwards. I relate with all the outer circumstances. It's not a very comfortable state. I can't harmonize. One of the fundamental principles of really being not uneasy, to be happy, and I say easy in the sense of being happy, is harmony. And what is harmony? To really be able to find that fundamental oneness behind the diversity, behind the play of outward multiplicity. Feel that one single force that is there. It's one of the absolute conditions of the supramental world that Mother speaks of. Harmony. We live in disharmony. We try to sometimes suppress one side so that on the surface there is no discord. You say, no, I'm a mental being. My mind makes rules, and I will make the necessary, you might say, laws and rules that will guide my life. Another may say, no, I follow my desires, my likes and dislikes. They rule me. A third kind of person may say, I obey my body, its inertia, its need to sleep, its dullness. It is so strong. Whatever the mind may say or the vital impulses may say, finally it is this dullness and inertia that drags me down, whichever way. In all this, the soul seems to find that there is no room for it. There is no need for man, in man, for the soul. It's a very uneasy state. If we could harmonize body, life, mind, spirit, there would be no suffering. Because everything would be an expression of the divine. Body and life and mind would be an expression of the same divine presence in everything, because it is there in everything. But we have cut ourselves off, or we have compartmentalized our nature in different categories. We can sometimes take the support of one aspect and then another and then a third. So when this is the whole problem, the uneasiness, the sense of discord, unhappiness, that is part of our nature. But perhaps this is a very helpful thing. At some point, when the uneasiness and the unhappiness increases, we finally have to make up our minds exactly what is it that we want. Once and for all, we have to make a choice. It's very important at some point to make a final choice. Until then, we do some kind of a balancing act, which is not always very dependable. Where there is the limiting nature, our deficiencies, our incapacities, an eternal soul, where all must move between an ordered chance. It seems to be a play of opposites. The word chance and the word order. They don't seem to go together. But actually, we use the word chance often when we do not know that it is caused by something which we are not aware of. I do not know what made this moment happen. Because I do not know what made this moment happen, I call this moment chance. It's a term that belongs to the language of ignorance, or a very narrow field of knowledge. There is no such thing as chance. If I know the play of the entire universal journey, but I don't. So we use this term, chance. But each moment is prepared by a previous moment of which I am not aware. It's a moment in my consciousness, it's a moment in the earth consciousness, it's all the forces that are around me, their play, their forces. We are not aware of the infinite complexity of the universe. And that's why we use the term chance, because it's a word born of unawareness, ignorance, unconsciousness, on the one hand, and an uncaring, blind necessity. Necessity is that which has to be, which will be. It's not fate, it's an inherent law, something that is lodged within, it has to be. And whether you like it or not, you want it or not, it will be. Like, say, a gravitational pull that is there, you throw a stone in the air, it has to fall down. Whether it's a stone or a feather or a ball, it has to come down. It cannot say, I don't want to fall, I want to stay floating in the air. There is a law. We are part of that law also. Uncaring, it doesn't give you, it's not a selective law. Necessity is not selective. Since man lives in this state of consciousness, too high the fire spiritual dare not blaze. Since the failure, the fall, the defeat is already predetermined by the fact that we are made the way we are, we don't dare to rise too high, because the spirit is there, the flaming of aspiration is there, but there is also that which drags down this aspiration at every moment. The inertia, the ignorance, the blindness, the ego, the desire. At every step we are met with opposition. Therefore, if one is supposed to be wise, you say, don't try to do anything too difficult. Just go for small victories which are within your reach. That you can achieve. If you do something that has never been done before, it's too difficult, then you are going to fail. But that is exactly what Savitri has come to do. That which has never been done before, she has come for that. Unlike the human nature or the human attempt. Okay.